Antya-lila is saying to start anyway. Ramananda is going to fix it later.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakti Vrinda. We're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila, chapter 2, text 168, approximately. Apana karunya loke vairagya shikshana svabhaktera gadha anuraga prakati karana. This incident manifests the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his teaching that a sannyasi should remain in the renounced order, and the deep attachment to him felt by his faithful devotees. Manifests the deep attachment to him felt by his faithful devotees. Tirtira mahima nija bhakti atmasat eka lilaya karena prabhu karya panchasata. It also demonstrates the glories of holy places. It shows how the Lord accepts his faithful devotee. Thus the Lord fulfilled 5 or 7 purposes by performing one pastime. Madhura Chaitanya-lila samudra gambira loke nahi buje buje ye bhaktadira. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like nectar, but they are deep like the ocean. People in general cannot understand them, but a sober devotee can. Vishvasa kariya suna Chaitanya Charita tarkana kariha tarke have viparita. Please hear the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith and confidence. Do not argue, for arguments will produce a contrary result. Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pariyara Asa Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. It says, the section here, at the end entitled Instructions from this chapter. It's already a couple in the verse showing that lessons to be derived from this incident, because of course it's a difficult to comprehend incident. It's not so easy to understand how someone could be shunned by Mahaprabhu and end up committing suicide. So what are those lessons? 1, his teaching that a sannyasi should remain in the renounced order. In other words, that a sannyasi should be very strict on themselves. And 2, his deep attachment, so that even after giving up the material body, Junior Haridas was still a devotee of Mahaprabhu. It's not that bond of devotion was not separated by death. On the devotee's side, nor on the Lord's side. So there's a section entitled Instructions from this chapter. Summarizing this verse, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that one should derive from it the following lessons. 1. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is an incarnation of mercy, he nevertheless gave up the company of one of his personal associates, Chota Haridas, for if he had not done so, pseudo devotees would have taken advantage of Chota Haridas's fault by using it as an excuse to live as devotees, and at the same time have illicit connections. Such activities would have demoralized the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as a result, devotees would surely have gone to a hellish life in the name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 2. By chastising Junior Haridas, the Lord set the standard for acharyas, or the heads of institutions, propagating the Chaitanya cult, and for all devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to maintain the highest standard. 3. The Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed that a pure devotee should be simple and free from sinful activities, for thus one can be his bona fide servant. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his followers to observe the renounced order strictly. 4. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to prove that his devotees are exalted and that their character is ideal. He kindly accepts his faithful devotees and teaches them how much tribulation and disturbance can be produced by even a slight deviation from the strict principles of devotional life. 5. By chastising Junior Haridas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his mercy toward him, thus showing how elevated was Junior Haridas's devotion for him. Because of this transcendental relationship, the Lord corrected even a slight offense committed by his pure devotee. Therefore, one who wants to be a pure devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should give up all material sense gratification. Otherwise, the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very difficult to attain. If one dies in such a celebrated holy place such as Prayag, Mathura, or Vrindavan, one can be relieved of the reactions of sinful life and then attain the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although a pure or faithful devotee may fall down, he nevertheless ultimately gets the chance to go back home, back to Godhead by the mercy of the Lord. So those are some of the lessons embedded in the story. Chapter 3, entitled The Glories of Srila Haridas Thakur. This is the other Haridas. A summary of the third chapter of Antya-lila is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as follows. A beautiful young Brahmin girl in Jagannath Puri had a very handsome son who was coming every day to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This was not very much to the liking of Damodar Pandit Jai Gurudev, who therefore told Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you have so much love for this boy, people will doubt your character. Hearing these words from Damodar Pandit, the Lord sent him to Navadvip to supervise the affairs of his mother, Sachi Devi. He also specially requested Damodar Pandit to remind his mother that he was sometimes going to her home to accept the food she offered. Thus, following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Damodar Pandit went to Navadvip, taking with him all kinds of prasad from Lord Jagannath. On another occasion, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once inquired from Haridas Thakur, who was known as Brahma Haridas, how the Yavanas, or persons bereft of Vedic culture, would be delivered in Kali Yuga. Haridas Thakur replied that their deliverance would be possible if they very loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra. For hearing the Hare Krishna mantra chanted loudly, even with but little realization, that would help them. After describing this incident, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita also describes how Haridas Thakur was tested at Benapula, a village near Shantipur. A person named Ramachandra Khan, who was envious of Haridas Thakur, sent a professional prostitute to attempt to defame him. But by the mercy of Haridas Thakur, even the prostitute was delivered. Because of offending a pure Vaishnav, Ramachandra Khan was later cursed by Nityananda Prabhu and ruined. From Benapula, Haridas Thakur went to a village known as Chandapur, where he lived at the house of Balaramacharya. Thereafter, Haridas Thakur was received by two brothers known as Hiranya and Govardhan Majumadara. But in the course of a discussion, he was offended by a caste Brahmin known as Gopala Chakravarti. Because of this offence, Gopala Chakravarti was punished by being afflicted with leprosy. Haridas Thakur later left Chandapur and went to the house of Advaita Acharya, where he was tested by Mayadevi, the personification of the external energy. He also received his favour by being blessed with the chanting. She also received his favour by being blessed with the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So it's a summary of chapter 3, entitled The Glories of Haridas Thakur. Text 1. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service, unto all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as his devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Jai Jai Gora Chandra, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, but all glories to the devotees headed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purushottame Eka Udya Brahmana Kumara Pitri Sunya Mahasundara Mridu Vyavahara. In Jagannath Puri, there was a young boy who had been born of an arisen Brahmana, but had later lost his father. The boy's features were very beautiful, and his behavior was very gentle. Prabhu stane nitya aishe kare namaskara, Prabhu sane vat kahe Prabhu pranatara, Prabhu te tahara prite Prabhu daya kare, damodara tara prite sahite napare. The boy came daily to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered him respectful obeisances. He was free to talk with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because the Lord was his life and soul. But the boy's intimacy with the Lord and the Lord's mercy toward him were intolerable to Damodar Pandit. Bara bara nishedha kare, Brahmana kumare, Prabhure nadikire se rahite napare. Damodar Pandit again and again forbade the son of the Brahmana to visit the Lord, but the boy could not bear staying home and not seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nitya aise Prabhu tare kare mahaprita, yanha prite tanha aise balakerarita. The boy came every day to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who treated him with great affection. It is the nature of any boy to see a man who loves him. Taha deki damodara dukkha payamane, balite na pare balaka nishedha namane. This was intolerable for Damodar Pandit. He became greatly unhappy. But there was nothing he could do, for the boy would ignore his restrictions. Aradina se balaka prabhustanat aila goshani tare priti kari varata purchila. One day when the boy came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord affectionately inquired from him about all kinds of news. Katak shani se balaka ute yabegela sahite na pare damodara kahite lagila. After some time, when the boy stood up and left, the intolerant Damodar Pandit began to speak. Anyo padeshe pandita kahe goshane ratani, goshani goshani ebe jani mo goshani. Damodar Pandit impudently said to the Lord, "Everyone says that you are a great teacher because of your instructions to others. But now we shall find out what kind of teacher you are." Ebe goshanera guna yasa sabalo ke gaibe, tabe goshanera pratishta purushotame haibe. You are known as Goshani, teacher or acharya, but now talk about your attributes and reputation will be spread throughout the city of Purushottam, how your position will be impaired. Shuni Prabhu kahe kya kaha Damodara, Damodara kahe tumi svatantra ishwara. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that Damodar Pandit was a pure and simple devotee, upon hearing this impudent talk, the Lord said, "My dear Damodar, what nonsense are you speaking?" And Damodar Pandit replied, "You are the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, beyond all criticism. Svachande achara kara ke pare balite, mukara jagatera mukha para achadite." My dear Lord, you can act as you please. No one can say anything to restrict you. Nevertheless, the entire world is impudent. People can say anything. How can you stop them? Pandita hana mane kena vichara nakara randi brahmanira balake prite kenekara. Dear Lord, you are a learned teacher. Why then don't you consider that this boy is the son of a widowed Brahmani? You are so affectionate to him. Why are you so affectionate to him? Yadyapi Brahmani se tapasvini sati, tatapi tahara dosha sundari yuvati. Although the boy's mother is completely austere and chaste, she has one natural fault. She is a very beautiful young girl. Tumi ha parama yuva parama sundara, lokera kana kani vate deha avasara. And you, my dear Lord, are a handsome, attractive young man. Therefore, certainly people will whisper about you. Why should you give them such an opportunity? Etabali damodara mona haila antare santosha prabhuhase vicharila. Having said this, Damodar Pandit became silent. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled, pleased within himself, and considered the impudence of Damodar Pandit. Ihare kahiye shuddha premera taranga damodara samamora nahi antaranga. This impudence is also a sign of pure love for me. I have no other intimate friend like Damodar Pandit. Eteka vichari prabhu madhyane chalila aradine damodare nibriti bolaila. Thinking in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to perform his noon duties. The next day, he called Damodar Pandit to a solitary place. Prabhu kahe damodara chalaha nadiya matara samipe tumiraha tanyayana. The Lord said, my dear friend Damodar, you had better go to Nadia and stay with my mother. Tomavina tanhara rakshaka nahide ki ana amake hayate tumi kaila savadana. I see no one but you to protect her, for you are so careful that you can caution even me. Toma sama nirapeksha nahi moragane nirapeksha nahile dharma nayaya rakshane. You are the most neutral among my associates. This is very good. Without being neutral, one cannot protect religious principles. Amahaite ye yana haya se toma haite haya amare karila danda ana kebe haya. You can do whatever I cannot. Indeed, you can even chastise me. What to speak of others? Matara grihe rahaye matara charane tomara agena hibe karo svachanda charane svachanda charane. It is best for you to go to the shelter of my mother's lotus feet, for no one will be able to behave independently in front of you. Madhye madhye asiba kabu amara darashane sigrakari puna tahan karaha gamane. At intervals you may come and see me here, and then soon again go there. Matare kahiha mora koti namaskare mora sukha kata kahi sukhadi hatanre. Offer my mother millions of my obeisances. Please speak to her about my happiness here, and thus give her happiness. Nirantara nija kata tomare sunaite e lagi prabhu more pataila ihante. Tell her that I sent you to inform her of my personal activities, so that she may share my happiness. Etakahi matara mane santosha janmaiha araguhya kata tanre smarana karaiha. Speaking in this way, satisfy the mind of Mother Sachi. Also, remind her of one most confidential incident with this message from me. Bare bare asi ame tomara bhavane mishtana vyanjana sabha kariye bojane. I come to your home again and again to eat all the sweetmeats and vegetables you offer. Bojana kariye ame tumita hajana baya virahe taha svapna karimana. You know that I come and eat the offerings, but because of external separation, you consider this a dream. So one of the places where Mahaprabhu always goes, one of the 4 places described in the previous chapter, is the kitchen of Sachimata. And that is known as an Avirbhav. Yeah, Avirbhav appearance. Speaking in this way, where are we? Bhojana kariye ame. So, we'll talk about that later. Bhojana kariye ame tumi tahajana baya virahe taha swapna karimana. You know that I can't come and eat the offerings, but because of external separation, you consider this a dream. E maga Tye Tumirandana Kadila Nana Vyanjana Kira Pita Payasarandila. During the last Magha Shankranti festival, you cooked varieties of vegetables, condensed milk, cakes and sweet rice for me. Krishna Boga Lagana Yabe Kaila Dhyana Amarasfurti Haila Ashru Barila Nayana. You offered the food to Lord Krishna, and while you were in meditation, I suddenly appeared, and your eyes filled with tears. Aste vyaste ame gya sakali kaila, ame kai deke tomara sukha upajila. I went there in great haste and ate everything. And when you saw me eating, you felt great happiness. Shaneke ashru muchiya sunya deki pata, svapana dekilun yena nimani kaila bata. In a moment after you had wiped your eyes, you saw that the plate you had offered me was empty. Then you thought, I dreamt as if Nimai were eating everything. Baya viraha dasaya puna branti haila bogana lagailun e jnana haila. In the condition of external separation, you were again under illusion, thinking that you had not offered the food to Lord Vishnu. Pakapatre tekila saba ana achebare. Puna boga lagaila stana samskara kari. Then you went to see the cooking pots and found that every pot was filled with food. Therefore you again offered the food, after cleansing the place for offering. E mata bara bara kari e bojana tomara shuddha preme mora kari akarshana. Thus I again and again eat everything you offer me, for I am attracted by your pure love. Tomara agyate ame ache nilachale, nikate lana yao ama tomara prema bale. Only by your order am I living in Nilachala. Nevertheless, you still pull me near because of your great love for me. E mata bara bara karai hasmarana, moranama lana tanra vandiha charana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Damodar Pandit, remind Mother Sachi in this way again and again, and worship her lotus feet in my name.
Prabhu, how did Damodar get in contact with Mahaprabhu for the first time?
I'm not sure exactly. He may have been a Navadvip associate. It's possible. But I don't know the exact history. If he was a Navadvip associate, then he would have known Mahaprabhu in his youth. As a child.
Was he younger or older?
Probably about the same age. Most of Mahaprabhu's Navadvip associates were around the same age. They were his school friends.
Is Swarup Damodar one of the Navadvip associates?
Yeah.
Swarup Damodar. Is he one of Mahaprabhu's Navadvip associates?
Etakahi Jagannathera Prasara Anaila Mata Ki Vaishnave Dite Pritak Dila. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered that varieties of prasad offered to Lord Jagannath be brought. The Lord then gave him the prasad separately packed to offer to various Vaishnavas and his mother. Tabe Damodara Chale Nadia Aila Matare Milia Tanra Charana Rahila. In this way, Damodar Pandit went to Nadia. After meeting Mother Sachi, he stayed under the care of her lotus feet. Acharyadi Vaishnavere Mahaprasad Dila Prabhuda Yaiche Agya Pandita Taha Acharila. He delivered all the prasad to great Vaishnavas, such as Advaita Acharya. Thus he stayed there and behaved according to the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Damodara Age Svatantriya Nahaya Kahara Tarabaye Sabe Kare Sankocha Vyavahara. Everyone knew that Damodar Pandit was strict in practical dealings. Therefore, everyone was afraid of him and dared not do anything independent. Prabhugane Yanra Deke Alpa Maryada Langana Vakyadanda Kare Kare Maryada Stapana. Damodar Pandit would verbally chastise every devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu whom he found deviating even slightly from proper behavior. Thus he established the standard etiquette. Eta kahila damodare ravakya danda yahara shravane bhage agyana pashanda. In this way, I have described Damodar Pandit's verbal chastisements. As one hears about this, atheistic principles and ignorance depart. Chaitanya-lila gambira koti samudrahaite kilage kikare keha napare bujite. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are deeper than millions of seas and oceans. No one can understand what he does, nor why he does it. Ataiva gudha artha kichu najani, baya artha kari bare kare tanatani. I do not know the deep meaning of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. As far as possible, I shall try to explain them externally. So then it begins with the parts with Mahaprabhu meeting Haridas Thakur begin, and we get to hear some of the famous pastimes of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur and the prostitute, deliverance of the prostitute. Not all of them. Haridas Thakur's Leela is not covered so extensively in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it's very extensively covered. Haridas Thakur's various pastimes.
One last question about Damodar.
Yeah.
What was he in Krishna's Leela?
I think he was someone known as Jatila. So she was a family member, I believe, of Radharani's grandmother, I think. Or grandaunt, maybe grandmother. You can look it up. One of Radharani's family, elderly family members, Jatila, but constantly engaged in henpecking everyone.
What does it mean?
Henpecking means like constantly getting on everyone's case for small transgressions. Something like that. Pretty sure Damodar Pandit was Jatila in Krishna Lila. So Mahaprabhu sends him to Navadvip because he can see how his personality will be utilized in protecting his mother. Because he's a very strict, somewhat authoritarian, and not prepared to speak, not unprepared to speak his mind whenever he sees any small transgressions. So he keeps everything in order. Kind of like a sergeant at arms. You know, in a gang, they have a sergeant at arms. He makes sure everyone's following the rules of the gang. So Damodar Pandit is like Mahaprabhu's sergeant at arms. So much so that even he's prepared to put Mahaprabhu back in line if he sees any potential transgressions. Because not that Mahaprabhu's affection with the young boy was an actual transgression as such, but Damodar Pandit saw the potential for people to misread the situation. Why? Because we mentioned it just the other day, how the boy's mother was a young and pretty widowed lady, and so people with their with their polluted thinking would immediately start to assume that Mahaprabhu's affections to the boy was a way of getting to the mother. So Damodar Pandit recognized this and pointed it out.
But then he went to Navadvip, and since then he never associated with Mahaprabhu again?
Well, as it said, Mahaprabhu tells him that he can return from time to time. So I imagine that's what he did.
It's quite funny. It's quite funny. He adjusts Mahaprabhu. I was like, you go to Navadvip, look after my mother.
Yeah, Mahaprabhu saw that as an appropriate way to utilize his tendency, his skills, and his kind of attitude could be utilized properly there. Whereas in Jagannath Puri, maybe it was causing a little bit of a problem. If he is being too authoritarian and being too much, too bossy, too strict. Whereas he's thinking, this guy can look after my mother well. He can keep things in order up there. So we'll read from Revealed Truth by Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj. One sub-chapter. Entitled Praying to the Vaishnavas. It is very essential to follow a pure Vaishnava and happily try to practice Krishna consciousness under his guidance. Through our mundane knowledge, we cannot understand who is a Vaishnava and who is not. So we must pray to Krishna, to Nityananda Prabhu, I do not know who my Guru is. I do not know who the Vaishnavas are. Please reveal them to me. Please give me the association of a proper Guru and real Vaishnavas. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave us very important advice about the position of the Vaishnavas in one of his songs. He explained how to recognize the Vaishnava and receive his mercy. Amitar durbaga ati Vaishnava nachini, more kripa karibena Vaishnava apani. I am so unfortunate, unqualified, and insignificant. I do not have the qualification to understand who is a Vaishnava or Guru. I do not have the capacity to discover who is a Vaishnava and who is not. This is a very difficult situation for me. My only hope is that the Vaishnavas are merciful. They are oceans of mercy, kripa sindubhya evacha, and can give me proper consciousness of who is a Vaishnava and who is not. They can reveal themselves to me, and if the door of my good fortune will open, then the real Vaishnavas will be merciful to me, and I will be able to understand his position. If I am a good boy, a good man, and I am humble and tolerant, and I give honor to others, then I will automatically attract the real Vaishnava and receive his mercy and blessings. If I proceed with humility and tolerance and give honor to everyone, then I will automatically honor the real Vaishnava, and he will choose me to be a servitor of the Vaishnavas. It is through the quality of our own practice that we attract the vision of the real Vaishnava and receive his mercy, affection, and service connection. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopala Govindura Srivadu Sudana Giridhari Gopinath Chaitanya Nityananda Shri 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 Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhar Jyoti Jai Jai Vishnu Parshada Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Parshada Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Parshada Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Rupa Guru Bharat Ki Jai Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Namrei Vaishnav Mandala Ki Jai Sri Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita West London Ki Jai Jai Ram Sankirtan Ki Jai
Jai.